Okay, so let's restart and we try to apply everything we told about the router on our example application. You remember our application is this one, the question and answer application. This has been moved to week number 9. Okay, so I just made a copy and I named it React QA router today. Okay, but there's no router inside this application yet. So basically just the old one, as usual, with a small modification just to keep it in line with the examples that we are trying to carry on. So, but really small modifications like renaming some variables and stuff like that. Okay, adjusting something in the layout and things like that. So we are testing this application, and actually we just tried before. Where's the application? Here? Okay. So the behavior is what we saw in the last lecture. So we have a list of answers. We can vote them. Okay, so these buttons just change the score that is contained inside an array of answers. And so we have a function that changes a state which is in the form of a list of objects. And so nothing has changed in this regard. And then we have a special state. We said if we press here, a form appears, and that's the state we saw before, the show form, right? Show form that false true. If true, we show something else. So we can say it's sort of a different view, right? It's the view in which we add some information. And if we set something in edit object, so instead of just saying add something, we edit something with the pencil here, with the yellow button. Again, the form appears, but we are editing a specific object, okay? And this specific object depends on which button we pressed. If we press the first one, it's the first one. If we press the last one, it's the last one, and so on, okay? Again, different views, right? Everything now is collapsed inside the slash route because we don't have any alternative until now. Without the route, it's no alternative. We need to handle manually ourselves states that decides what to show. Okay, if the state is true, here, what is the show form? We show the answer form. Okay, otherwise we show the button, and if we click on the button, add something, we set show form true, React changes the appearance and it takes out the button from the element tree and it puts the answer form inside the element tree and the answer form appears, right? That's the only way in which we have the possibility to change the appearance of the application. But now we have the router, so let's try to think in terms of routes. So before coding, as usual, okay, let's try to think in terms of routes, okay? So let's just write here because I don't have another place to write, okay? No, that's too much. So routes. Which routes could be useful in our application? Well, there's one route that is always useful. I mean, the one that we already have. That's a slash. That's the initial page, right? Initial page. Every application will have this route. Okay? That's the stuff that you show when you load the application, when you navigate. I mean, the browser arrives on your website. And this is the list of the answers, right? List of answers. Okay? That's what we see when we arrive at the page. Okay? That's the easiest route. And then, well, we could have another route. I mean, let's try to have another route. Let's do the simplest one. I mean, after slash. I mean, we say there are just two functions we can perform with this application. We can add new answers and we can edit answers. Okay, so basically, let's say typically a new route is for a new function of your application. It doesn't mean that every function of your application, functionality of your application, needs to have its own route. Okay, it can be a simple stuff like expanding a list and so on. You don't need to have a route for that. Okay, but if it's a big functionality like editing, adding, or showing in the details of something where you need to change a lot of components in your view, well, maybe it is worth using a route. Okay, so again, this is programming, so there's no correct solution. There are different possibilities, and we can discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the various possibilities. Okay, I'm trying to give you some ideas about the most straightforward possibilities or solutions. Okay, but there are different ways of approaching the problem, especially when the problem becomes more complex. Of course, this application is very simple, just add and edit. Okay, but for the exam, you might have add and edit on different set of things. You might have functionality where you select places in, I don't know, a theater, a train, a plane, whatever. And of course, you have different views and so on, and you need to decide about which routes could be useful for you. Okay? So let's try to have an additional route, which is add. Okay? Just to show the form needed to add a new answer. Okay? And then we will think if we still want to show the list of the answers or not. Okay? But I mean, this is a new route. And then we have the edit functionality, right? So maybe the edit functionality could have its own route. I think it's reasonable. Edit. Okay? So let's try. Show the form to edit an answer. But which answer? Well, actually, well, I don't know. Well, let's think in terms of our application. If I click on the first, I edit the first. If I click on the fourth, I edit the fourth, and so on. Maybe I can add a parametric part to the URL. So I practice with the parametric part of the URLs. That's a good idea. But I mean, again, this is not the only solution. I mean, ID. Okay, which answer? So answer identified by the ID. Okay, but again, that's my opinion. I mean, maybe you would like to have a single route /modify. Okay, /modify /ID, and if the ID is negative or 0, you would like to add. Otherwise, you choose something for editing. I mean, different options. This is one of the most straightforward. I must say that, I mean, it's just a personal way of approaching the problem, but it's also, in simple cases, typically there is a simple solution. This is probably the simplest solution. Okay? Simplest and cleanest solution, because again, I can say just /modify and I put edit and add together. Okay, but let's try to have 3 routes so we practice a little bit. Okay, good. So we have a rough idea about which routes we could use for our application. Okay, and you are invited to do the same in the lab. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is for the form. The next lab is for the routes. Okay, I will publish the text of the lab after tomorrow, so you can practice well before the lab. Okay, so you don't waste time waiting and so on. In any case, we will just ask to convert your application that you have inside the lab in an application that uses the routes. Okay, So again, you have functionalities, adding, deleting films, and so on. Okay. Oh, by the way, we didn't add a route for delete. Why? It's possible, it's fine, but I mean, we don't have anything to show. What do we show when we delete an answer, or you delete a film in your case? Well, actually, we press it. I mean, there's nothing that we need to show. Okay? So there's no page. That's nothing. I mean, if there is no page, it doesn't make so much sense to have a route for that page because there's no page. Okay? Okay, good. So let's say these are 3 routes. Looks nice. Let's try to implement them. Okay? They might be wrong. If they are wrong, we will go back and try to, I mean, modify our choice. Okay? So what we say to do. First thing is wrapping up in a router. Okay, first thing to do. That's this one. So main. Import. Browser router from React router DOM. Okay, so probably we should first install remove input. No, why remove input? No, I don't want to remove the input. I want to install React router or React router. Sorry, yeah, React router. Sorry, DOM is just ported by itself. Okay, so React router. Okay, good. So these are the slides, right? Browser router from React router, and then browser router. Okay. So save browser router, and okay, the test has to be done only once. Okay. Well, doesn't matter. Browser route. Okay. Save. Only once, and you keep it until the end of the course. Okay, because probably you want to use the routes in your final project. Okay, so that's all for main. Just make sure everything works. Oh, no, I forgot to start the server. Okay, I mean, actually, we didn't change anything. I mean, the router is there, but we are not using it. Okay, so /add is not working. You see what happens? Add, I mean, nothing. The render is the same because the router doesn't know that we like to have a /add and show something else. Okay, so let's implement these routes. So I recommend you that you have the routes at the top level of your application because basically they define what you need to show in your application. Okay, so in app, I think you have app here. App, yes. Okay. So in app you have the container, you have the header, and you have the main. That is the one where we wrote stuff. That is the one that is showing the list of answers. Okay, and then the footer. Okay, so since we would like to practice a little bit, okay, let's try to use the layout approach. Okay, so in this layout approach, let's say that we always keep the header and footer, and the part that changes is main. Okay, you have, for instance, in the lab you have the left menu, or where did you put the menu? Okay, with the filters. Think yes, we have. So in app, basically, yeah, we return the routes, and so basically we convert this app, okay, to a layout route or layout, call it as you like. Okay. Of course, we cannot, just miss up. Okay. It's written above. Yes. Function up. Okay. Up has to be there. Okay. Because the main JSX expect up. Okay. Otherwise, we need to change the other. But I mean, our purpose is not to get rid of up. Just use up only for one purpose. It basically is containing the state of the application. That's for later, in case we need to lift it until up. And then return the routes. Okay? Routes. Sorry. Okay? And then here we can write the routes. So route with path, right? Path dash. We make it a self-closing element, okay? Or and then we say what's element, right? Element equal to, and we need to render something, okay? Decide what to render. So basically, we repeat this stuff for the 3 cases. Add, edit, okay? Yeah, and basically we sketched the routes. Of course, we need to write something inside the element, because without anything inside the element, basically means nothing is rendered, okay? If you save, of course, it's a problem. Okay, so here you can say layout, right? Layout slash. Okay, good. And add and edit. Well, actually, at the moment, we don't have anything. Add, I would like to show the form, right? Yeah, but I must say the form is the form was here in form components, answer form. Yes, that's a form. It's fine. Yeah, form route. Why do I know the form route? Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of layouting with Booster, but yeah, in principle, you can write answer form here. Let's see if it works. Just to test it, before going on. It's up, right? No. What is the... Okay, yeah. Answer form slash okay, save. That's the first approach. Okay, let's see what happens. It's not finished, of course. So just try to render slash. Oh, there's some problem. I forgot something. Routes is not defined, of course. In up, you need to import a lot of new stuff. Okay, so no, this is the other one. You need to import all the stuff from React Router, which is on after React Bootstrap. Yes, import routes outlet link. I mean, this is just for later. Okay, no, routes. Okay, from React Router. Actually, this is React Router DOM. Okay. No, I forgot to. I don't think it works, right? Let me see. React router. It was React router DOM. Not sure if it works or not. Let's try. Maybe they made it default. Yes. Okay, so I will fix the example that I will publish. Okay, so you see that the slash renders as before. Okay, but now if you look at the components, you see that there is this browser router, the router. Okay, these are stuff which is inserted automatically. We don't care. And then there is app with routes, and then there is our layout. Okay, of course the browser router inserts a lot of stuff you see here in the tree. Okay, but we don't care about the automatically inserted and automatically managed stuff by the browser router. The point is that at a certain point it decides to render our component, which is layout. Okay, not sure what happens, but let's try. Slash add. Yeah, you see it renders the form. Okay, might not be the best stuff because maybe we need to have the container and the bootstrap container and stuff, but I mean, you see that the router is working because you have slash and it renders a component. You have slash add and it renders another component. Okay, so what we wrote here has its own effect. The routes. Oh, the routes. Yeah. Okay. So app basically is this stuff. Okay. Now we can just improve it, and let's try to improve it. Okay. We can try to make hierarchical routes. So having a route nested inside the other one, and it's an outside one, because we said with the layout we would like to use the same layout for all the routes. Okay, so you saw that here we missed the header, right? Because the header is in the layout. Okay, good. So how do we do it? Well, basically we take the outside route. It's not self-closing now. We close it here, route. Okay, and we put all the other routes inside. Typically the outside route has the path slash. Okay, because it's the one that includes everything. If you want to have more complex structures, it's possible. I don't recommend to complicate things too much. I mean, for the exam, typically 2 levels are more than enough. So you have the slash, and then you decide what to render inside. If you would like to have routes which are not rendered with the layout component, you just add them outside. Okay? Oops. Yeah, it's here, right? Route. For instance, I have an example for the no match. Okay, so the path slash star element equal, at the moment it doesn't exist, no match. Okay, no, default route. Well, I call it default route. Default route. Okay. I copy and paste from the solution. Just some stuff that where is put here? Just return container, no data here, not valid page, go back, and so on. Okay, you can even test it. Okay, so let's try it. So just type random stuff. No, it's not yet not working. It's syncing. I'm not sure why it's syncing. I saved it. Yes. Let's stop and start. Okay. Now it's not thinking anymore. I don't know what. Sometimes you need to restart it. Okay, so this is the component, and you see the component if you want to see it, default route, okay? No data here. Please go back to the main page. No, this is a link, okay? If I click it, it goes to slash, okay? It doesn't reload the application. How did I implement it? Well, link, okay? That's a component. It's provided by React Router. Link, okay? To slash. It's a link. You don't write a href and so on, because this will not work. I mean, we reload your application, and that's not what we want, okay? So we also tested the link. Good. So let's go back here. Yeah, so at the moment we have a /add, /edit, the layout, that's good. But we say in the layout, I mean, now the add doesn't work, right? /add. You see, add doesn't work now. Why? Because it's a route which is inside another one. So the one outside is rendered, so the layout, but there's no outlet. You remember that outlet? We say the outlet. You remember this stuff, the outlet. If there's no outlet, nothing is rendered for the inside routes. Okay, so let's modify here. Not main, but outlet. Okay? We don't need to define it. It comes from the React router. Outlet, good. I think that's all. Should mostly work. Yeah, you see that now more or less works. Now we have the header and the footer, and in the middle we have what we specified inside the inner route, the one that is nested. So this one, the answer form. Okay? So we just transformed the application in something that is using the routes. Okay? And now we need to, let's say, finish the application in the sense that we need to link everything together. When you have different pages, you need links. Okay? As in normal HTML pages, you need to change a page, you need to put an a, href, and so on. Here we have link, okay? And so the button, no, slash, okay. Oh, slash, no, slash is broken now. Why? Yeah, because slash is layout, but layout contains the outlet, and the outlet now has nothing if we don't write what to do in case there is only slash. Okay, slash route. How do we say there's nothing? One of you asked me in the break, well, what's the meaning of index? Well, index is sort of no route. Okay, so it's the default route. So the slash that comes from outside, nothing else. Okay, element equal to, and this time was main, right? I think at this point. Slash save. Let's try. Okay, so slash works. Slash add still works. What about the button? Yeah, the button works, but it's not bringing me to slash add. Just stays on the same page. Why? Because I designed the application in this way. Okay, there's a state which decides how to render the main, with or without the form. So now we get rid of that state. Okay. So the state, where is it? That state. So the show form is not needed anymore. So we, as I told you before, we are moving part of this state to the URLs. The URL is part of the application state. Okay. So if we are on slash add slash edit, we are showing the form. If we are not showing the form. But now it's written inside the URL. And how do we change the state? There's no set state anymore. Now there is the fact that we navigate to the new URLs when we want to change the state. Okay? So save it. And yeah, we need to modify the button. Okay? So there is a button at the end. Right? Button. Let me see how we did. I think we used the link answer. No, it's the key. No, this is not there anymore. Should show for what time? Add something. That's a wrong file, right? Wanted to use the same thing for later, but yeah, link add. Okay, I call it add. Well, what do we render? That's a way in which we can make a button bring us to a new URL in the simplest way. Okay, one way is write the event handler. So here. Navigate slash and so on. We will do it later. But another way is to make it a clickable object. Inside the link you can put everything you want. Okay? So link to /add, yes. And you put a button inside. Okay? Why it disappears? Always disappears. Okay. So the on-click is useless now. Okay. What I'm missing here? Call set shows. Ah, yeah, I forgot to close it. Okay. Save. Okay, let's see if it works or not. No, there's something I missed. Show form is not defined. 113. Yes, of course. So actually, the show form here is not useful anymore. Okay? For the moment, let me just comment it. Okay, save. So now there is a button, add something. You see, if I put the cursor over the button, you see the new URL. Okay, so that's basically a link in the form of a button. You can also put some text. You can make a paragraph, whatever. Okay, we don't really care. I mean, this is just a button. If I press the button, I go to a new URL. You see add on top here. Okay, and we can make all the other buttons work in the same way. Okay, now the cancel doesn't work because the close form is not a function, because basically, I eliminated the state. Okay, so I cannot make the set state for the show form. So let's make this modification. So we see another way of navigating to another place. The form, right? Form here, close form. I don't like it. Okay, why I don't like it? Because now I would like to write something in the event end. I can do the same as before, link slash to slash as file. Okay, but just to show you something different, what I'm going to write here, navigate slash. Okay, but navigate actually is not defined yet. We need to get it from the use navigate handler. Okay, so const navigate use navigate. Okay, oh, it's nice. This time Visual Studio helped me. So it imported use navigate automatically from React Router. Now I have this function navigate that I can use in event handler like this. Okay, so save. Let's try if this works. Add, cancel. Yeah, good. Okay, so we have both ways of navigating. So we say there's the use navigate that gives you a function to call, or the link. Okay, good. You can use with buttons, you can use with text, whatever you want. Okay. Okay, so now what are we still missing? Yeah, this. So add, if we add something, add answer is not a function. Okay, let's make add work. Okay, so well, actually add, edit. This is a bit more difficult. You know, there's this object to edit. Okay, add, submit, submit. So there's no object to edit, so add was shown. Handle submit, prevent default, that's good. And then save existing answer, that's fine. Even though I said it didn't exist. No, this one, add answer, it didn't exist. And then navigate, gate slash, right? Okay, just be careful of the fact that, you know, if the JavaScript code breaks down, it will not execute the navigate, right? So let's add something. Okay, so it will not navigate because I put it after the code that had the problem. Okay, so we need to fix it. Props add answer. Probably the props is not passed. Answer form props, and we are in app answer form. The routes. Where are the routes? Answer form. Okay, here you need to pass the props, otherwise nothing works. Okay, so what do we pass here? Well, actually we should pass yeah, the what was the name, delete and so on. Add answer, right? Add answer. Okay. Okay, but the add answer, where is the add answer? Well, actually add answer was inside main, right? Which actually is not so convenient now because main is in another route. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Well, this function is needed to change the state, right? I mean, we can search it. We had it somewhere, right? The add answer, yes, this one. We can move it in up. Okay, it's fine, but where is the state? I mean, we need to have the set answer, that is the set of the state. But the state is not in up. Let's move the state in up. Okay, we lifted the state. It was in main, now it goes in up. I mean, it's sort of inevitable. It's, I mean, you cannot do really nothing because it's in simple application where you need to handle the state yourself, and basically all the application has to, you know, handle the state and use these state values. Basically, I mean, most of the state will end up in up, and it's fine. I mean, nothing wrong. Okay? Answer, set answer, use state initial answer list is fine. So now we have the set answer, but we are not using answers. Why? I think we need to pass it here in main, right? Main, oh, main, main now has no answer, so it needs to receive it as a prop. Okay? Well, actually, no, first of all, don't forget, delete this one. If you forget, you have two states that represent the same thing, it's a source of endless problems in your application. Try never having two states represent the same thing, because it's always difficult to keep them in sync and so on. Okay? By the way, at the moment we have no way to keep them in sync. Okay? So just don't forget. I mean, that's a major source of errors during, not the exams because you tested the application, but during the labs. It doesn't get updated. I don't know why. I have two states. I'm updating the wrong one. Okay, that's simplest answer. Okay, if you delete it, by the way, you will end up with errors when you use it. So in a certain sense, it's good, right? So we delete this stuff. We moved it in up. List of answers is props answers, right? Now it's prop answers. Main is fine. Okay. Let me see if I missed something. Yes, I missed something. Prop list of answers is undefined. Answer components 45. List of answers. That was the name. I don't remember. I need to check. It's the same that you need to do in your code. Okay, list of answers in answer table. The answer table is used in main, I think. Answer table. Yes. So list of answers was list of answers, prop answers. So it's not answers. It's not passed correctly, right? Main. I mean, it's just rearranging code. I mean, it takes time. I know. Answers. Here. Answers. Okay? Should be enough. Hopefully. Yes. Okay. And now add something. Let's try. Set show form. We forget the set show form. Now there's no show form anymore. Where is it? App 130. Okay. No need to do anything here. Okay. By the way, you could navigate here. You can navigate when you are calling this function. So in the answer component, no, in the form component, sorry, where we put this navigate here. It's up to you. Probably here that's a better place because you're handling, you know, what's happening when you submit the form. So it's more clear if you navigate when you're here than when you know, embedding it into the add answer. Okay, but that's just a personal opinion. Actually, everything works because the navigate, I mean, it's a for the whole application, so we don't really care that much where it is used. Okay, good. So let's try again. I know it's somehow boring. Okay, oh, now it works. But I'm testing every time, every step, because otherwise, if you write everything from scratch, it becomes very difficult to debug. Okay? We can help you in the lab, but if you're alone, it's a problem, right? Okay, so the add is working. And now we need to do the same for the edit. Okay? The edit is not working, okay, now, because we broke it. We moved the state and so on. So we need to fix the rest for making the edit work. Okay? Okay, good. So Let's fix a few things in up. So with the edit, we should pass the edit answer, I guess, here. Okay. Oops. I think so. Let me check. Edit answer, save existing answer. Well, not really sure. Well, let's try. Let's assume I don't know what I'm actually doing. Okay. We had a function that was actually save existing answer. No, edit answer. Yes, good. I did. Okay. But I mean, this edit answer, it's a bit weird, right? So the edit answer is setting an edit object. Okay. But we don't want to have this edit object again, right? Because it's part of the application state. We decided that now the route is /edit/id. Okay? So it's the URL that decides which element we are editing. Okay? Because of the ID. And so let's leave it for now. And so let's, first of all, let's try to, first navigate to the correct URL, okay? Edit ID. So at the moment in the form components, no, not the form components, the answer components. That's the list of the buttons. You remember the button, the edit, right? That doesn't work well anymore. I mean, we need to navigate to a new URL here, okay? You remember here, as we navigate to a new URL for adding, we need to navigate to a new URL for editing, okay? Deleting is fine. Deleting, it doesn't require a new page, so it's fine. And so, let's use the link again, as I did. You can use the navigate as we did before. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Link to okay, a string. You can, if it's a fixed string, you can just use the quotes. If it's a JavaScript expression that returns to a string, you need to open the curly brackets. Okay, and we basically need to construct a string because it's /edit/ the ID, right? Where does it come from? Probably from a props. Yes, I still need to pass it. I need to know the ID I'm editing, okay? I didn't have it because I had a function that directly edited a certain ID. Because in the way I implemented the application until now, I just created new functions. Here in the answer row, you see, I passed a function that just edited a single ID, okay, a specific ID. Okay, so no on click. Okay, I need to close the link. What's missing here? Ah, yes, here. Okay. Who gives me the props ID? Well, I need to give it to the answer action. ID, EID. Okay. I mean, it's up to me to decide the props when I pass them and when I receive them. Edit ID, I call it edit ID. No, Okay, edit ID. So it's a bit clearer. Edit ID. Okay. Save. Let's try, not if it works, because it will not work, but if the link is correct. Okay. So, oops. No, link is not defined. Sorry. Import. Link. Okay. Good. Let's just go over. You see there's a 82, 83, and so on in the bottom left of the browser window. That part, okay? Over the add something part, something button, okay? Okay, good. So the link is created correctly. Now I click it and it probably doesn't work, okay? No, it works somehow. But you see, edit 1. But I mean, the point is that the form is empty. And the form is empty because it was initialized in a different way. How was the form initialized? It expected a prompts edit object. But the edit object doesn't exist anymore because I didn't set it. Okay, I don't want to have this object anymore because the object is represented by the variable part of the URL, okay, the dynamic part, that ID, okay? But to initialize the fields of the form, actually I need the values of the answer that correspond to the ID. So here, I mean, there are only two options. Either I create this object to edit in the component where I decide to render the answer form, or I pass something that allows this component to get the information from the answer list itself, by itself, okay? And so it can initialize the states of the form, and so fill up the form before it is shown to the user, okay? So the previous option is very difficult. I mean, since in the router I cannot really write code here, okay? It's very difficult to write code here. Actually, I mean, to write code here, I need to create another component that does nothing except executing some code and passing props to this answer form component, okay? So returning the answer form component. But it's a bit artificial, right? And so it's not forbidden, but it's quite cumbersome. And I don't like it. Why? Because that's a simpler way of handling this situation. And so we saw a way by which we have access to the variable part of the URL. Okay, you remember the use params. Okay, const, what's the name? It was answer ID. Okay. I think here we, yeah, edit ID. This was an answer ID. Answer, yes, answer ID. Okay, but just for me, I mean, you can have ID wherever you like, but then you will end up having IDs everywhere in your application, and you don't distinguish the answer ID from the question ID from the whatever ID, okay? So just for you, I mean, try to be more specific when you write the names of the variables and the dynamic part of the URLs and so on, because it's easier to debug and it's easier to read and so on, okay? The compiler, JavaScript and so on will not get confused, but you and me probably yes. So answer ID, save. And so use params, give me an object that contains a key, answer ID. And I can extract it, answer ID, in this way, okay? Use params need to be imported, use params, okay? And now I have the answer ID, which is actually the variable part of the ID, /edit/3, okay? So the answer ID is 3. I need to get the information about the answer number 3, ID 3, from the list of answers. So here, in this answer 4, I'm missing the list of answers. Because in the previous version, I didn't need the list of answers. In this version, I need the list of answers because with the answer ID, I need to find the answer number 3 and use it for initializing the states. Okay? So I pass also, okay, also the list of answers, answer list. Answers. Okay? Yes. So now on this side, I have props answer list. Answer list. Okay? And on this side, I need to search for the answer that is specified in the use params. Okay? And I will try to recycle a little bit of the code I already written. So if I find something, okay, I will find takes a function that returns true when it found what I'm searching for. Okay, EID equal to answer ID. Okay. Almost working. What is not working, and it's a bit difficult to debug, is the fact that answer ID, it's a string, and EID, I defined it as an integer, so the triple equal will not work. Okay? So you can, solve it in different ways. One way is parse int is fine, I think. You can also use the double equal. Yeah, it's fine. I don't like it that much, but it's just a personal opinion. Because, JavaScript is like this. Types are flexible. In a certain sense, they are converted between each other. And they can lead to strange behavior. So I'm not really a fan of the double equal. But it's fine. If you use it at the exam and everything is working, it's fine. Okay? And so what is returned here? That's the object, right? Yes. Const object to edit. Oh, I don't know if what's the name of the stuff that suggests things? The Visual Studio, where the stuff based on AI. Object to edit. The copilot. I'm not sure if the copilot suggests better, but okay. So of course now there are two definitions of const object ID. It's not received as a prop anymore. That's fine. Now let's check if it works. I'm not really sure. Edit one. More or less it's working. Okay, so it's receiving the ID, it's extracting the ID, number 1, it has the list of answers, it searches for the answer, and the rest is the same as before, as the object that is given as an initialization to the controlled form fields. Okay? And then the save, well, probably we still need to fix some stuff. But one thing you need to be careful about is that, let's try an ID that doesn't exist. Well, yeah, the way in which we wrote the function is more or less fine because if this is not verified for any case, basically object to edit, not sure what happens. We need to search in the manual, right? Let's see what happens. Find undefined, okay? And our code handled the undefined as a form that was meant for adding. Okay, still fine. Okay. What's the problem here? Okay, just in case you have no ID. Okay, edit. Okay, so this is a URL that is handled by the router as an invalid URL. I mean, a URL that goes to the default route that shows this. Slash. Okay, but still handled by the. Yes. Okay. Edit ABC. Yeah, pretty robust. Okay. Fine. Okay. So my point is just be careful in case you need to check if the answer ID exists or not. Okay, you know that JavaScript code doesn't guarantee you nothing. I mean, sometimes it might happen that you expect that the value is set and it's not set, it's just undefined. Okay, just be careful about these cases. Sometimes it might happen. Okay, I think here it's enough. Yeah, I had a check on the answer ID, but it's probably not needed. Fine, so let's make the save working. So save an existing answer. Yeah, save existing answer is probably not defined, right? I didn't pass it in up. Edit answer, save existing answer. Let me see in up. Save existing answer. Yes, save existing answer. I need to copy and paste from the place where it was defined before. Yeah, right. Okay. I think the edit answer is not needed anymore, right? Edit answer, yes, not needed anymore. So this can be deleted, right? Save. So let's try the code. So let's edit the second one for I0 and so on. A, B, 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 B. Save, not working. Why is it not working? Well, actually it's saving, right? I think so. Let me check. Up, state. It's saving, right? I just forgot to navigate, right? I expect that when I save, I go back to the list, navigate to slash. So the function is working. I just forgot a piece of the navigation. So it's here. Okay. Navigate slash. Okay. So you can put it outside if you like, but I don't really care too much. Okay, so let's do the same again. Save. Okay, good. So we have an application where we move between three views, three URLs. Okay. Of course, we need to design how we move between these URLs. I mean, we did it in our brain at the moment. If you're unsure, just take a piece of paper, draw the three views, and when you move from where to where and so on. Okay. Edit, cancel, does it work? Yes. Okay. Just when you need to navigate, either there's a user action that clicks on a link, or there's a link, okay, and a call to navigate, and you tell where the application has to go, okay, as we did before here. Okay, Uh, is there a piece of code we still need to write? Well, let's clean up a little bit. Okay, so the edit answer is not needed anymore. The edit object is not needed anymore. Okay, so let's throw it away. Of course, here as well. The edit object here, I comment it here just to show you that it's not needed anymore. Of course, I mean, there are vote and delete. They are not working, I think. Oh, what did I forget? Edit answer. No, edit answer was passed somewhere, but it's not needed. It's probably to delete. Edit answer, yes. We don't have to pass edit answer. It's a link now. Okay? Save. Okay, it's working. But you see, up, down, and so on, they don't work because we moved the state. We need to move all the rest that sets the state. Okay? So move, vote, delete, and so on have to be moved in up. Yes, here. Just format a little bit. Format selection. What did I do that up is not used? Ah, okay. I forgot the piece. Yeah. Yes. Okay, vote and delete, and they have to be passed here, right? Vote, vote answer. I think what's the name? Vote answer, right? Vote answer. And you see, the value in element can be quite long. Just use new lines. Vote and delete, right? You need to rearrange the code, but this is just stuff that should be easy to do. Okay? Still missing something. Vote answer is not defined. 65. What answer is here? Ah, no, 65. Answer table. Now the main is down, so props. Okay, so now main is a child of up. Okay, not of up, but of props. Main is, yeah, not a child of up, it's child of what? Well, actually, it's a child of the router, okay? Of those components that are inserted automatically by the router, okay? On the top there is up, but then the browser decides what to render, okay? Let me see if it works. Yes, good. Delete as well. Yeah, mostly done, okay? Yeah, I think, yeah, just check the console. Okay, always check the console for errors. Okay, we will have the console open at the exam as well, because I mean, for minor things, I mean, there are other courses that care a lot of the console log and so on. I don't care that much. I mean, if you print something, it's fine, but I don't want to see errors. I mean, of course, your errors, there will be issues coming from the libraries and so on. If you're using those libraries, you cannot do anything. Okay, but I mean, there should be no errors about your code, things that are not defined and so on, because it means there's something that is not coherent inside your code. Okay, and typically the point is that if there is an error inside your code, remember your JavaScript code stops executing, and typically the functions that we are trying to test will not work. Okay, so just be careful. But I mean, testing your code is in a reasonable way still is usually enough. Okay, yeah, I think it's more or less all for this application, right? So basically, remember, we transformed this main in a layout. We put the outlet here. The default route is something separate. And the outlet actually should have a row and call, but I think I will fix it later. Okay? Because what we are rendering here in the outlet is basically what we write. Where is the routing? Sorry. Here. Okay, so actually the answer form should render row and call, and the main should render row and call. Okay, because these two ones are rendered instead of the outlet. Okay, you see that Bootstrap is quite tolerant and it worked anyway. But if you have a more complex layout, like you need to restrict the number of columns and stuff like that, you need to be careful about this stuff. So let's just do one modification, just one for one component, like the for component. Okay. So function. If I need to add something to the component, well, either I go in the JSX and modify it. So I can come here and say, write row call, that's fine. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are transforming these components into routes. Okay, and just to show you that you can do whatever you want with the components, let's define an answer route. Okay, route, okay, props. And now return row call, and then answer form. Okay, answer route. Let's export the answer route. Okay, let's render the answer route. Answer route. I mean, calling it route doesn't make it a route. It's just a name for me. Okay, just because I want to use it here in element of the routes. Okay, but I mean now nothing works, right? Yeah. Answer form. I need to import it. Of course, answer form, answer route. Okay, but it's not working. Why? No, answer route still not working. Answer route, answer component, right? Answer. No. I need to do the other modification. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll fix it later. But not the answer route. This was form route, right? Form route. No, I'm messing up. Yeah, I wanted to write form route. Sorry. I'm tired as well. As you. Form route. Okay, it's fine. That's a route for the form. Okay. Answer form is fine. Answer form. Yeah, indeed. And here it was answer table, right? Yes. Answer form in the routes. So form route, right? Okay. It's form route, right? No, form route. Oh. Sorry, it was a bit messy. I mean, but what I wanted to tell you is just that now I broke everything. I think, yes. Because, well, row is not defined, yeah, it's true, but But the point is that I added an additional component, right? And you see, props, answer list, and so on. So I need to pass all the props again. Okay, I will not do it. I will do it. You know. Oh. I will do it later, okay, because the time is over. But the point is that don't be tempted to solve this problem with the context, okay? That's what I wanted to say. Because this is not a problem to solve with the context. The answer form, the answer list is not something that probably you want to pass around with the context, okay? It's true in a certain sense that it is a state that belongs to the whole application, but you don't want to have the list of films for your lab in the menu that selects the filters and so on. Okay, the context is for something that you really distribute in the whole application. Okay. Otherwise, of course, everything could be put into a context. We put every state in a context, every function in a context, and we solved all the problems. But as we said in the beginning, if you do this way, basically every time you make a modification, everything is re-rendered, which is not the way in which React should work. Okay, React is efficient if you change only what has to be changed, and it makes the modification only to the DOM that has to be changed. Okay, so I will finish this example back in the office. In 2 hours, I think, because I have other commitments. But I mean, here we just need to pass the props that were directly passed before from the routes to this component, to the answer form component. Okay, I will commit the solution, of course, and you are expected to do this stuff in the lab, not tomorrow, but the lab after. Okay, I think we said everything that was needed for the router. If you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to ask. Otherwise, we will meet quite in I think tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, and then in May. Okay, just with me. I mean, okay, just stick to the schedule in case you have doubts. Okay, thank you. That's all.